We continue now with Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, Armstrong Williams, and Patrice O'Neal. All right, Dr. Hill, I want to go back to this issue we were discussing earlier. The two people leading the charge, the Reverend Jackson and the Reverend Al Sharpton, and they both have a history of saying outrageous things. You know,
I don't know if I'd say outrageous. I don't.
You don't think Jaime Town's outrageous?
I think it's an unfortunate statement. He apologized for it. He explained the context. It's a problematic statement. I'm not trying to support the statement. I'm saying he's apologized. That was 19 years ago. You don't think the term white interloper, sir, leading into that incendiary event that took place on Freddy's at 125th, you don't think white interlopers offensive and racist? It's interesting that you're saying that these people didn't pay a penalty, yet 19 years later we're still talking about the comments. Clearly they are paying a public penalty. That's the same thing I want to see happen to Don Imus.
I'm just trying to understand. You want this guy fired, but it's acceptable for the people that have this history to lead this effort against this guy. And I'll tell you what I find it. Look, Patrice and I were talking in the break. Either everybody's wrong and everybody gets condemned. You'll only condemn Don Imus. Will you condemn the Reverend Sharpton and the Reverend Jackson for their incendiary remarks over the years?
Absolutely. Anyone who makes a hurtful or incendiary comment,
no, I said specifically Reverend Jackson and Al Sharpton. Will you condemn them tonight as you have Don Imus?
I'm saying anyone and everyone. Yes, I think making.
You're having a hard time with this. You really? I think
actually no.
He's too distinguished.
I think you're having a hard time keeping the focus on Don Imus.
I think
you're making the scapegoat.
The difference is I'm consistent.
Using diversionary tactics.
I'm saying it's wrong for everybody.
Sharpton instead of Don Imus.
No, I'm not, because it's wrong for everybody.
It has no bearing on what Don. It has no bearing on what Don Imus did.
No, I'm saying it's wrong. But I'm also saying I think it's hypocritical. The guys that are leading the way have a history of making equally offensive remarks, but they seem to be getting a pass. And now, in an ironic sense,
if Jesse Jackson got a pass, we wouldn't be talking about it 19 years later.
Oh, but you're having a hard time saying that it's appropriate for this guy to be leading the effort. You don't find any irony there or any hypocrisy there?
Well, you know you're going to be using OJ for the next 50 years to talk about, to compare it to any other white guy who does something.
You said something in the break, though, and I think you're right. Either everybody's wrong or everybody gets to say what they want.
Everybody says what, because the word does not. The word nigga does not mean what it did in 1920, no matter what you say and when you say it.
But you and I had this debate once before. That word is meant to hurt. Period.
And it could hurt. Yes. But you just saying it doesn't hurt me, because that implies that you're better than me.
What are you pointing at me for?
Because if I call you a cracker, it never meant nothing to you. It was almost like, thank you.
I have known you for a lot of years. For a short time now. We've debated it, but we've known each other. You could basically say anything to me, and I know everything you're saying is meant in humor.
Not everything, but I know how to.
To me,
by the way, that's not true when I talk to him. But let me ask you that.
but you don't get to be the arbiter of what's funny.
Well,
how can you all be the arbiter of what's funny for black
Patrice
women?
Is funny.
I am.
But here's the main question.
I am.
Let me get Armstrong back in here.
Based on what you said tonight, bro, I don't find you the arbiter either.
Armstrong.
Yeah, but you're being an arbiter just for, like, they painting you into a corner. You don't even realize that your whole seriousness is messing you up, and now you gotta commit to saying that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are hypocrites. You had to commit it.
Cheesing and soft shoe and talking about how this isn't a serious issue.
This is where the problem is.
This is a serious issue.
Now, this is what they do.
Who's they?
They make us fight.
Who's they?
Who does?
When he goes soft shoe. That's more insulting to me than nappy-headed hoe. That's when black people call each other words like that, soft shoe, house nigga. Get out of here. You know better than that, Doc.
Sir, the issue here for me tonight is Don Imus's comments, and all we've done is divert their attention from him.
I think the issue, Dr. Hill, is who decides what's offensive. What's offensive? And who is it offensive to? And who's getting hurt? And who is the arbiter of what offensive is?
Why don't we talk to the aggrieved people? No one asked that question when
And if they're not offended, you want to give Don Imus his job back if they're not offended?
When Mel Gibson made his comments, clearly Jewish people were offended, and they should have been.
I didn't hear you call to say that they should step aside.
When Bill Maher lost his job with ABC,
people
responded because people were offended.
It was
Why
good to
can't
see
black
you.
women be just as compelling a victim?
Thank you. Patrice, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.